My Bella, me. You were the child of the sun, the sky, and the deep blue sea. My Bella, me. There was a time when you thought that your only friend was me. Hey, welcome back, party people. Much to the joy of probably at least one person, I don't have anything really deep and meaningful today. I was gone this weekend up to Maggie Valley, and it was an interesting time. I haven't had a chance to edit any of the video together yet. I'll likely have that for you next week, maybe later this week, but next week at the latest. It all started in the beginning when they posted the ride, and it was supposed to be the 1st through the 5th. So I booked my hotel, and for reasons that are just too long to get into, I booked a different hotel than the one everybody else stayed at. So my coworker that was talking about coming up with me didn't. He couldn't get out. So I was basically in this hotel room by myself with none of the other people around me. Which, you know, that's cool. I have the option of staying an extra day if I want to. So because of the threat of rain, a number of people bailed out and said they either weren't going to come or they were going to come up in a vehicle. You know, fine, whatever. So there were 2 of us that rode up there out of a potentially much larger group of people. Went riding up through Pisgah National Forest. Beautiful place. It was a good time. It was an interesting time. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. So the weather for Maggie Valley showed that it was 40 to 60% chance of rain for 4 days. The 4 days we were going to be up there. Stopped by a waterfall, got some pictures, it was really nice. That was number 1 thing off my list that I wanted to do. Wanted to get a waterfall picture because I live in the low country. I live close to the seashore. There are no waterfalls here, just like there are no curvy roads. So we got caught a little bit of rain on the way up. I'm too stubborn to put on my rain gear most of the time, so I got fairly wet. It started drying off by the time we hit the waterfall. So got my pictures, went down the road, and it was a while before we got into Maggie Valley. Now by this time, I'm pretty cold, I'm wet, I've just been losing enough heat to make me miserable. But it was a really nice trip. So we got into Maggie Valley, I got to my hotel room. By the time we got there, it was raining, just full on raining. Spent a little bit of time trying to dry out my clothes, and then went next door to the sports bar to get something to eat. That was pretty much the end of that day. Because it was supposed to rain every day, and really for the better part of the day, I didn't have a great desire to do the Tail of the Dragon. It's not one of my favorite rides anyways. I'm not big into those curvy things. It's too much work for me. You're concentrating on your curve, your corner, you know, clutch, a little bit of brake, clutch, accelerate, come out of the corner. Now how much can you lean without sliding out? That whole thing. And then once you get out of one corner, you're into another one. It's not a particularly safe road. And with the rain, that made it even worse. If it's wet, that's worse. Now admittedly, the corners are pretty slow if you go by the posted speed. So they're pretty safe if that's what you do. But that's not what most people do. Now I've done the Dragon before, it's kind of a rite of passage, you have to do it. Some people love it, I do not, but I did it anyways. But I didn't feel obligated to do it again. What I did want to do is go to Wheels Through Time. So I texted one of the other guys and said, hey, I'm going to go to Wheels Through Time, I'm going to show up about 9:30. He's like, I'm going to try and do the Dragon anyways. Cool. So I showed up at Wheels Through Time about 9:30, spent almost 5 hours there. Dropped off a couple copies of my photo book because they were nice enough to let me use some of those pictures in my book. You know, you're not supposed to do commercial photography without their permission. You know, they've assembled that collection and, you know, I honor that they put that collection together. They have a right to the way it's used. So last year, I've got a video on it. I rode up there to ask for permission and I talked to Matt. He said, yeah, go ahead. So one of the things I wanted to do was drop off a couple copies of the book as just a thank you. So I dropped off the book, went in, took more pictures, more video, the whole thing, and it looks like I got rain ahead of me. Speaking of rain, so I spent about 5 hours. Now, think about Wheels of Time. Every time I go there, I learn more stuff. And when I was talking to Matt, even he said he's constantly learning more, and he runs the place. And I have to wonder that if even Dale Wachsler, who really built the place, put it together, if there isn't stuff he's always learning about the machines that are there, because there's so much history there, so many fascinating things. So I spent about 5 hours. Now it was again supposed to start raining, so eventually I thought, well, now I've been around the place twice, I've gotten video, gotten pictures, and you'll see some of that video next week. Figured I'd head back to the hotel, get something to eat. So I got back to the hotel just in time for the thunder to start. Once again, went next door to the sports bar, got lunch. By the time I left the sports bar, it was pouring. So there were a couple other bikes that joined up with the group that had trailered up, and I guess they all decided they were going to try the Dragon that day, which, as it turned out, I don't think at least one of the people was ready for the Dragon. You know, it's an advanced ride. It's not for somebody who's not used to cornering or willing to corner a lot. And there is a safety concern even if you're following the speed limit. You know, people get killed up there. But it is an advanced ride. You don't want to be a marginal rider or somebody who's never ridden a lot of curves and go do that. It's dangerous. Especially if it's wet, super dangerous. I wouldn't recommend that to any novice rider. I've actually got another person that I know that I was thinking about inviting up to come with me, but he just got a motorcycle and that may not be good. So they never ended up riding the Dragon, but I guess they rode around some other places. So that night, after I got back from eating my huge plate of nachos for lunch, I texted one of the other guys. I'm like, well, I'm kind of here all alone. You know, that's my doing. I'm not really doing much riding up here in this area. There's stuff I could be doing at home. And I did the two things that I really wanted to do the most. And that was, you know, take a picture of a waterfall and go to Wheels Through Time. He said, you know, well, do you want to ride someplace else that the group isn't? And I was like, you know, it's still the riding thing in the rain. And all the places that I would want to ride around here are curvy. And I just don't want to do that in the rain. I'm not comfortable with it. You know, I'll ride in the rain. You give me fairly straight roads. On curvy mountains? No. I mean, I've done it. It petrifies me. I don't enjoy it. So I was like, nah, I mean, I've got stuff I really should be doing at home. I've got all these videos to edit. I've got pictures to edit. I've got work that I should be doing. There were some events that I had to bow out of because of this trip. There was a chance that I still could have done at least one of those, some photography things. So I'm like, nah, I'm just going to head home. I'm going to get on the highway and just jam. He's like, all right, well, text me before you leave in the morning. So I texted him before I was ready to leave, and he said, yeah, I think I'm going to go back too. Nobody's really riding here. This isn't working out well. So I met up with him at his hotel, and we decided we were going to set the GPS and take the back way home. Take some of those mountain roads. And it was probably 3 hours there, it was probably 8 or 9 hours of just beautiful riding. There were a lot of curves, there were a lot of hills. I got that Dragon-like experience, and I think it was just as challenging as the Dragon. But there was beautiful mountaintop, countryside, and then it all smoothed out into that flatland once we came out of the woods. It was a great ride. You know, I mean, it didn't go as planned, but I still got a lot out of it. I still enjoyed it a lot. A little disappointed that, you know, more riders didn't show up to ride, but so that's why I don't have a real video today. Just because I haven't put all that together and I've been out doing it. So that said, I appreciate you being here. Hopefully you'll check in later in the week or next week when I have that video. I think it's going to be a really good one. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time. Thank you for it. Go do something nice for somebody this week. And I will see you next time. Bye.